As you can see, we're heading to the starting grid where everyone is ready for the start of the race. The weather conditions are ideal for racing, but riders have complained of a lack of grip over the weekend. To overcome this problem, many of them have chosen to mount a hard tyre in the rear. With the sighting lap safely negotiated, the lights will go out in a few seconds and the Indonesian Grand Prix will get underway.
We are racing in Moto2. Songkyak Chantra sweeps across the front row and tries to get a whole shot from pole position on number 35 bike. Dixon in third place briefly. Acosta comes around the outside. Acosta's got really deep and he almost gets tangled with Canet, who was fast away from 7th place. Tony Arbolino trying to pick him out. Arbolino is just behind Joe Roberts as they sweep down towards turn 3 for the first time. But Chantra, he leads from pole.
Some interesting lines there into turn 3 as Fermin Aldeguer finds himself in the long lap penalty that his teammate will be in a lap or two's time. That aggression to turn 1 though did not work out at all for Pedro Acosta. He's in 7th place. Tony Arbolino is 1 to 12th.
It's been really messy, really scrappy from Canet. He was wide in turn 1, then wide again on the entry, or in hot at turn 3. And Canet has just lost a whole bunch of places. 7th down to 13th. A real messy start for the birthday boy yesterday.
Yeah, Canet was on the outside of Acosta and Acosta went for that bold outside line into turn 1 as they come through the second sector. Acosta then is still in 7th place. Alonso Lopez will be pretty pleased with how that first lap has panned out so far. He's into 3rd spot. Agura was the poorest of the starters off the front row. He just slipped backwards and was in the middle of all that melee into the first corner. But with Lopez having to serve those 2 long lap penalties, the fact that he's away at the front is good news for him.
Was not the usual fly off the line Arbolino. Garcia fires up the inside.
Where were we last week?
Salat on the inside. They'll come side by side on the exit of turn 4. The drag race now down to turn 5. Looks like Acosta's going to have the advantage. He just drops in front of Salas there.
There's a repeat of last weekend. Lopez on Dixon once again. It was the collision between those two which eventually landed Alonso Lopez that double long lap penalty. A clean move that time for the Bosca scorer up into 2nd place, but Chantra is checking out.
Yeah, and Dixon being picked up by Lopez wide through turn 5 cost him a lot of momentum coming through the high-speed turn 6 and 7. Agura picked him off as well. Joe Roberts doing a better job of the American Golf Ryder Cup team defending that 10th place right now from Europe's Tony Arbolino. I don't think Joe is a golf fan, but if he is, he's had a miserable weekend so far. Back at the front then in this Japanese Moto2 Grand Prix, and Acosta firing on the inside of Dixon, although he thought about it, but Dixon just that a little bit too good on the brakes into the first corner. Through the hard sweep though through turn 2 on the inside. Acosta again. That was absolutely brilliant by Pedro Acosta. Full commitment to the full lead angle. He picks off Dixon, the world champion leader, up into 4th. Lopez in then for the long lap.
First of 2 then as he feeds in just by Tony Arbolino. Is that the Marvellous, or is that the leading up Marvellous? It is. It's Sam Lowe's that he's back with. So Lopez slots it into 7th place. So we'll keep an eye on this lap to see how much time he lost, because that will give us an idea of how much he'll lose when he comes through 2nd time around. Lopez was 2.4 off the lead. He was actually coming through that lap. He was 1.2 seconds ahead of Sam Lowes when the lap began. He's now just behind him. For the first time then in this Grand Prix, Ayagura is into the 150s then on lap 5 of 19, and he was actually around 100th or two quicker than Sonkat Chantra. The damage though, for Ayagura's point of view, might well have already been done.
As he so often does, Acosta looking like he's going to rescue, not a bad weekend, but an average weekend by his exceptionally high standards. Second long lap penalty being completed by Alonso Lopez. He's going to drop in behind, or just
alongside Arbolino.
Ramirez alongside Arbolino. Canet's good through 6 and 7. We saw this on board on the last lap, how he was able to really had to shut off there. He had to roll out of it. Through 6 and 7 is where Canet's got phenomenal corner speed, supreme confidence. He almost ran the back of Arbolino on the previous lap.
Sonkat Chantra so far on this lap has clearly made a mistake somewhere, because he's lost 0.6 of a second of his advantage to Ayagura. Something's gone on at the front of this race. When this lap began, Sonkat Chantra was 2.2 seconds up the road as Arbolino loses one to Zonta van den Gorberg now. But Chantra's lead has been cut by a third so far on this lap.
Yeah, we're trying to find out what's happened to Chantra. Arbolino then fighting hard for every precious point. Immediately
wide, way wide.
Van den Gorberg, he's in way too hot, and that's allowed Darren Binder to slip on through as well. He has a look over his left shoulder, and he will see Ethan Guevara as well attacking him hard. The Moto2 race winner here from 9th on the grid in Japan 1 year ago. So Tony Arbolino then, he'll be coming over the line very shortly in 12th position. A very poor lap 12 for him, a poor lap 12 as well for your race leader Chantra. What happened to Chantra on that 12th lap of 19? A 151.881 from your race leader, and all of a sudden with Agura firing in a 151.126, which is where his pace has been now for a good number of laps. In the blink of an eye, on to Van den Gorberg now gets in hot at turn 3.
That's wide though.
Really deep, and he almost gets tangled with Canet, who was fast away from 7th place. Tony Arbolino trying to pick him out. Arbolino is just behind Joe Roberts as they sweep down towards turn 3 for the first time, but Chantra, he leads from pole.
Some interesting lines there into turn 3 as Fermin Aldeguer finds himself in the long lap penalty that his teammate will be in a lap or two's time. That aggression into turn 1 though did not work out at all for Pedro Acosta. He's in 7th place. Tony Arbolino is 1 to 12th.
It's been really messy, really scrappy from Canet. He was wide in turn 1, then wide again on the entry, or in hot at turn 3. And Canet has just lost a whole bunch of places. 7th down to 13th. A real messy start for the birthday boy yesterday.
Yeah, Canet was on the outside of Acosta, and Acosta went for that bold outside line into turn 1 as they come through the second sector. Acosta then is still in 7th place. Alonso Lopez will be pretty pleased with how that first lap has panned out so far. He's into 3rd spot. Agura was the poorest of the starters off the front row. He just slipped backwards and was in the middle of all that melee into the first corner. But with Lopez having to serve those 2 long lap penalties, the fact that he's away at the front is good news for him.
It was not the usual fly off the line that Arbolino needed. Garcia fires up the inside.
Where were we last week?
Roberts, Salat on the inside. They'll come side by side on the exit of turn 4. The drag race now down to turn 5. Looks like Acosta's going to have the advantage.
Arbolino's best hope here is to try and put that Moscascura between himself and Joe Roberts on this final lap to give himself the best possible. It looked like Lopez was a little bit wide there coming out of turn 11. We'll catch them across the line to see if he held on to that 11th place. Jake Dixon then onto the final lap, and he does not have an answer now for Pedro Acosta. And Arbolino didn't get through on Lopez, and he's now coming under pressure from Roberts. One more lap for Arbolino to either hang on to 12th place or potentially pinch 11th, but that's the extent of what Arbolino's dealing with here. It's small points that he's trying to claim as Acosta heads for another podium.
Chantra cruising to just his 2nd Grand Prix victory. He was the history maker in Mandalika last year, wasn't he? Arbolino out of shape, but underneath Alonso Lopez to take that place inside the top 10. 11th place. Roberts, what can he do? You can see his Dunlop rear tyre squirming as he got on the power coming out of turn 4. Arbolino then, how crucial could that place be? Chantra has long gone. He started the last lap 1.6 seconds clear of Agura. It looks like it's going to be a Chantra, Agura, Acosta podium, and Acosta taking more big points in the championship from Arbolino on the inside. He made this work so well. How good is Joe Roberts through the high-speed change direction, hitting Mategi, through Alonso Lopez through 7. Time running out though for him to attack Arbolino.
Well, it was in the faster corners in Bud last week, wasn't it, where he was stronger than Sergio Garcia to make that difference. Sonket Chantra though made the difference in the first few laps, didn't he? He was able to immediately open that lead up to around about 2 seconds, and try as he might, even with the power of the home crowd, Ayagura has not been able to chase him down.
The first Thai rider in history to take a Grand Prix pole position, the first Thai rider in history to take a Grand Prix victory, and he fires out a victory corner, and it is victory for Songkiat Chantra. What a weekend he has had here in Japan. P1 in every practice, P1 in qualifying, take pole position, and P1 when it really mattered the most on Sunday in the Japanese Grand Prix. A fairy tale home weekend for Idemitsu Honda Team Asia as they take the 1-2. Ayagura takes second. Pedro Acosta in his 50th Grand Prix start takes third place to increase his world championship lead over the fading Tony Arbolino.
We're back from Parc Fermé with the winner, who blessed us with a perfect race today. In addition to the victory, this young man scored some very important points for the world standings.